Hey guys, my name's Ella and I'm going to be showing you today how to use Encloth inside of Maya to dress a scene a little bit. I'm going to be making some curtains, and if all goes to plan, I'm going to be making a tablecloth. So for this scene, just for tutorial's sake, I've got a little table and chair set up and, a window, just so you're not just looking at basic shapes. I've also got a little bit of a box set up here, maybe if we render this out and it's, I'm not going to do that for this tutorial, but that's why it's there. But if you're following the tutorial, you don't need any of this. This is just for example's sake. Okay, so first things first, what you want to do is come here to the Create tab, and you can create the polygon primitive cube, and you can do this with a cylinder, you could probably do this with a plane, but today I'm going to be using a cube. So basically what we're doing here is we're trying to match this to the window frame that we've got in the scene, but if you were making this yourself it wouldn't really matter because you're matching it to whatever you're doing, or you're making it yourself. So this is essentially just the window frame here, so it's going to act as the thing that the curtain kind of hangs off. So it doesn't really matter what shape it is, it's all relative. So basically for this tutorial I'm going to be matching it up using the scale tool, and I'm just going to be positioning it right there. Okay, once we have this little guy here, I'm going to come back up to the Create tab, and I'm going to go to Polygon Primitives and create a plane. Now we can do this a number of ways because we kind of want to have more subdivisions on our model, but I'm going to come here and go Create Polygon Primitives, and I'm going to come Plane, and I'm going to come to this little window here which is Plane Options. And the reason that we're adding more subdivisions to this model is because it makes the curtain look more dynamic, because it has more, I guess, subdivisions and polygons to work off, so it doesn't look as static. It has more movement when we play the animation and more ways that it can bend and curve. So I'm going to be adding 50 and 50, and then apply and create. So it's going to naturally just drop off grid or wherever you have it. A good way to make sure that it is in the center of the world is putting 0, 0, 0 here, although that's not important right now. So what you want to do is, once you have this little guy, you want to come up here and go to Modify, Freeze Transformations. You want to come here to Mesh, not Mesh, you want to go to Edit, Delete All by Type, or you can press Alt-Shift-D. You then want to press E on your keyboard, which is the rotate, and then hold J down and kind of rotate it into position. Once you have that, you want to be pressing W and pushing this back up and kind of aligning it with the original cube that we've made in the scene. Oh, this is not quite, I'm going to go back to my E. It's not quite, well, that's better. So I'm going to line this up. And what you want to make sure, so if you want to toggle your wireframe mode on, you want to make sure that it's intersecting with the original cube that we made. That's important for when you're making your end constraint. So take that back off. And now, I'm going to do, for tutorial's sake, I'm going to show you what happens when this is not constrained to anything, or when there's no passive colliders or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is change from the Modeling tab to the Effects tab. Once I've done that, I'm going to come up here to something called Encloth, and I'm going to create Encloth. And what that does is basically turn this little guy into an Encloth. I don't like the fact that I only have 200 frames right now, but that doesn't matter for the example's sake. So going to press play, and you can see that this little guy kind of drops off into infinity, and that's because nothing's telling it to stay there. So I'm gonna keep it like that, but I'm gonna keep it on frame 1, and then what I'm gonna do is grab this little dude, let's just call him Larry Anyway, we're gonna grab this little dude, or this P cube one, and we're going to put our X-ray mode on, and then once we have that selected, we're going to make sure that our mouse is hovering over the blue mesh of the P-plane that we created, or the curtain, and then we're going to right click and we're going to go to vertex mode, and then we're going to shift, hold, click and drag over just the top vertices here, and then we're going to go up to end constraint and go to point to surface. And when this is working, you can see that because it comes here in the outliner dynamic constraint 1. You can also see it working because it's been highlighted in green. Once that happens, we're going to turn the smooth shade on, and we're going to play our little timeline here again. And as you can see, once we pause it on a certain frame, it looks much more like a curtain. Once you're on a frame that you're happy with, you can freeze the transformations, duplicate it out, and basically have like a static mesh in this shape. But you could also be on frame 1 and come here and kind of like give the, like if you want a ripped curtain or something like that, you can kind of give the mesh a little bit of like pulling and stuff like that. Of course you don't have to, it can be a nice curtain, but I mean if it's like a haunted house or something, you could probably come here and change that, which is what I'm doing. And then it's not going to be a huge difference because, like, you know, it's not much, but you can kind of like come to a place that is good in the timeline. Yeah, you can kind of see that it gives it a little bit more dynamicness. I don't think that's a word, but yep. So that's how you make your curtain. Okay, if you've gotten that far, I'm gonna also try and attempt to show you how to use Endcloth to create a tablecloth for this lovely setting that we have here. So what you want to do is come back over here to the FX tab, and we're going to create a polygon primitive disk and disk options, and I'm going to bump the subdivisions up stupidly in a stupid amount. It doesn't really matter, but try and bump them up a little bit, and then create,